Hey everyone, I want to welcome you to SAIL, which is surviving abuse in life. And sometimes it's not that easy. Welcome everyone, my name is Llewellyn and I am an abuse survivor. Okay, now that I've said that, if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe now. Please give lots of likes. It'll actually help other people to find this. And I really want people to, you know, get help that they need. So, first of all, I am not a professional in any way, shape, or form. I am not a counselor. I am not a psychologist, psychiatrist, a therapist, none of those. I am not a doctor. I cannot prescribe medication, nor can I diagnose anyone, so please don't ask. I am not perfect. However, I am a child of God. Now, having said that, welcome. I firmly believe that you are right where exactly you need to be. So, the last few weeks, I've gone over my own book, which is called Tiny Steps to Success, the Right Step, which is talking about journaling. Journaling is very, very important. It helps you clarify a lot of things. What's in your head? Is it the truth? Is it a lie? Things like that. So I did my first book and I thought, let's do something else. So I did some research and I found 5 steps to healing from emotional abuse. And I've had it all. I've had the physical, the sexual, the verbal, the mental, the emotional, you name it, financial, spiritual. I've had it all. And I don't always talk about it because I really don't want that crap in your head. But tonight I'm going to discuss a little bits and pieces of it and how it affected me. And then I want to go into the steps that I found that could possibly help you. Now, not everything that I find online is an exact thing you have to do. It doesn't work that way. You're different than anyone else. And that's a great thing because we don't want to be the same. If something works for me, it may not work for you, and vice versa. So if you find something that has worked for you, please put it in the comments. Be kind, be giving, be forgiving for yourself and others. And it's hard. It is very hard to even say hi sometimes in these chats or online or stuff. Fear from being judged. I will not judge. This, to me, is a judge-free zone. And if anyone says anything harmful or judgmental, they will be booted, or the comments will be at least. Okay, so I'd like to start with what I found, which is the 5 steps to healing from emotional abuse. So I know there's going to be like several strategies that people can help you recover in that, but here's a little bit of my background. I was abused after my father had left my mother, and I will refer to her as my egg donor because I really don't feel that she deserves that title of mother. She really doesn't. And in her defense, she was abused growing up as well. But I didn't know that until years and years later, actually more recent than anything else. So she met a man that was 20 some years older than her. So she was in her early 40s. He was in his mid 60s, right? She had a kid by him. And I would always be compared to my other siblings. Why can't you be more like them? Why can't your grades be higher? Why can't you be this? Why can't you do that? Blah, 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 blah. I had to raise my baby sister from the time that, whatever. They taught me how to take care of her. And then I was in charge of her. I had to give her baths. I had to feed her. I had to change her. I had to do that stuff because she didn't want that responsibility. However, if there was anyone else that came to visit, then she took care of that child and I had a few moments alone by myself. Normally it was outside. Um, my job was to take care of her in the morning before I went to school, come home from school, take care of her. I really didn't have a lot of time for any homework or studying or anything like that because I had a baby to take care of. She was my baby. That's why I've always looked at my little sister as my baby. Okay, so having said that, growing up in a household where you're always judged, you're always put down, you're not smart enough, you're not, we'll just say enough, period. I'm pretty sure you get the idea. The verbal abuse was just as bad as the emotional abuse, saying, I can't have this, but somebody else gets it in the house, or whatever the case is. So Now let's talk about some of the steps that I found online that you can do. And please make sure you do your own research. You need to find something that's going to work for you. What may work for me may not work for you, like I've said before. And it's very, very important that you find what works for you because you matter. You are important and you are enough. Okay, so again, like I was saying, there are several strategies that can help you recover from any emotionally abusive relationship. And the one I have is only about 5 of them. So again, this is not a one stop shop type deal. This is just to get you started, I guess you want to say. So you really need to figure out what is going to work best for you, like I've always said. Okay, so the first one, the first step that they've talked about is called educating yourself. So they say that knowledge will bring clarity, and clarity will help you to work through any prolonged states of confusion and stress. And again, journaling works right along with that, which is why I've always written the right step, WRITE. So for me, when you journal it and you get it all down, written down, that's when you're able to clearly see the steps that were taken to get to where you are. So you can see where the maybe abusive language came from. I was always called a fat cow. When I was a little girl, I was nothing but toothpicks, and that hurt. Even though I was skin and bones, that's what they called me, skin and bones. You're a toothpick. You need to eat. You're too thin. You're too fat. You need to eat less. It doesn't matter what your body shape is. Somebody's always going to bully you in one way, shape, form, or another. Okay. So that's why I say journal it out. So once you journal it out, right, you can actually, the words, your eyes will actually see the words that are written down, and you can go, I'm not that. That's not how I saw things or heard things or whatever the case is, right? And this is where you get to clarify things because all the negatives that are in your head, remember I called those ants, right? Which are the automated negative thought syndromes. So those ants are running rapid now, right? Because you've been emotionally abused, verbally abused, whatever the case is. And you get to see that the actions the other person said or did, or the things that they said, are far from any healthy human relationship that you can possibly have. So, you want to help reduce any of your trauma symptoms that you may have accrued since being abused, right? Since being emotionally abused, physically abused, whatever the case is. So, write the things down that you remember or as you remember them, and make sure that you clarify that this is my perspective. So, in my first book that I've written called Abuse It Is What It Is, I tell people this is how I remember it. This is from my perspective. And just because it's from my perspective from a child, I may have a childlike mind when I was writing it, right? Because that's how I was at that child's moment. To give you an example, when I was a little girl, I thought my uncle was like 7 foot tall. He was this big giant, right? Come to find out, he was only up to here on me. I mean, come on now. I was a child. And the love that he gave made him seem larger than life. So, this is my perspective. And you're going to have your own perspective on how you take things. And that's okay because this is about you, not me, not anyone else. So I say write things down so that way you get a clear picture of the actions and the words that people are using. And once you get that clear picture, maybe it might help you reduce some of those trauma symptoms. Maybe. So the more that you understand the behaviors that have been violent towards you, right? That were used against you, the better equipped that you will be able to set boundaries against any future abuse. Now, I'm not saying it's going to always be 100% effective because I'm still falling for people that gaslight me, that are, abusive, that are narcissists. I still fall for that. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Once I write it down, I'm like, that's like my ex all over again. That's like my first, abuse. But so remember, it's not 100% guarantee. We have to keep working at it and working at it and working at it. And sometimes it comes like that. And sometimes it's like, oh, now I see it. So don't blame yourself because we've been abused. It's natural for us to fall back into those patterns again. Find someone that you can trust that you can also talk to. And if not, make sure you get a pen and a paper, right? And you put down today's date. That's the first step you do in that journal, right? In that little book. Put down today's date because you want to remember what you felt, what you heard, what was said to you, what was done to you on that particular day and go, and then maybe 5 years later go, yeah, that's what happened. Holy smokes, look how far I've come, right? It's okay to look back, just don't stay back. Do not stay in the past. You're no longer the victim because the more of the victim that you are, the more power they hold over you. Regain your power by writing everything down in that journal so you can clearly separate what was abuse to what is healthy. Okay. So this will also help you be better equipped. You want to be able to learn how to set boundaries so you don't have that in the future, right? And don't blame yourself. Do not blame yourself because people take advantage of your vulnerability. They really do. Okay. So once you start doing that, I want you to realize also that you're not alone. I have written a book called Not Alone, Not Forgotten. And you are not alone. There are so many people that have gone through so many different traumas that you may relate to, that they relate to, right? So know that you're not alone. You're not crazy. Don't let them ever, they're going to say, you're just crazy. It didn't happen that way. Oh, my stars. I don't know how many times my ex said that about the book I've written, right? Because he didn't want to be called out on it. Maybe read some self-help books, watch or listen to blogs, watch videos, listen to podcasts, watch webinars. There's a lot of people out there that have been abused in different ways, shapes, forms that might be helpful to you. There's going to be all sorts of different books out there. And like I said, the webinars, stuff like that, sorry, my mind went totally blank. That will let you know how to improve your mental health with, and again, not everyone's going to be what you could do that's going to actually help you. So make sure that you listen and read through it all, right? So how do you start? Well, this right here is a great way to start by listening to someone who's been there before. You can find these guides and PDFs online that you can download if you want. You don't have to, but you can. There's different life coaches out there. I'm a life coach, and you want someone that has done not only the experience, unfortunately, but has some kind of knowledge of how to help others. And I took some life coaching courses because my pastor asked me to. And so my credits are from a Christian based credit. And if you want to see it, just let me know and I'll get my certificates. But as a life coach, there's proper ways to help people. And then there's the narcissist way. So please be careful and ask questions if you go to counseling or a therapist or a life coach, whatever the case is, ask your questions. Have you had any personal experience in this? If not, what kind, how many years have you been doing this? Right? How many success rates? What's your success rate on this? Make sure you ask the really important questions, right? So education and learning about the people that you're putting your life in their hands. You want to educate yourself on that. It's important, right? All right. So, the second step, and this is going to be hard, is to learn to love yourself. How you treat yourself is how you're allowing others to treat you. So if you don't love yourself, how do you expect others to? Right? It's important to love yourself. Don't get me wrong, you're not going to be able to do it every single day. I can't do it every single day. There are some that can. I am not there yet, but I'm still working on me. And I think I'll always be a work in progress, just saying. To me, it seems like the hardest step, and it may not be that way for you. And that's great. To love yourself unconditionally, forgiving yourself for any wrongs that you may have done, that you may have said, learning to ask for forgiveness if you've done something wrong is really hard. Being open and honest, especially after being abused, is really hard. But you have to love yourself, because to learn to love yourself will help you grow in confidence. It will help you see the unhealthy relationships versus the healthy relationships, right? And self love, I can't stress enough how important it is to love yourself unconditionally. Because once we grow in self love, it really helps the victim inside of us to learn to trust our guts, and it gives us more self esteem, gives us more confidence. And it learns, we learn how to mend our, I don't want to say brokenness, but it's the only word I can come up with right now. So if you have a better word, please let me know. All right. So, how do you love yourself, right? So you want to take care of yourself first. I don't know if you've been on an airplane, but for many of you that have even seen movies, you know that there's going to be this mask that comes down when it's needed. Who do you put it on first? Your loved one or yourself? You put it on yourself so you can help others around you, even a baby, right? So healing from emotional abuse, it requires us survivors to find healing from various mental health, I'm going to say challenges. I don't like the word issues, challenges, from emotional pain, physical health complications, emotional trauma. It's really essential that we learn how to trust our emotions and our body. We have to learn to trust ourselves. We have to love ourselves enough to trust ourselves to say no, not today, or yes, let's do this. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say yes. It's okay to say, hey, I need to think about it. Whatever you need, not anyone else around you, because you have to love yourself first. And if you can't do something or you don't feel that it's right, go with your gut. Learn to trust yourself again, right? So, like, let's say that you don't want to go to a family function. Don't go. Um, Maybe you're like me and you always put other people first. And you're like, okay, they need this, they need that, they need this, they need that, whatever the case is. And then all of a sudden it's like having this jar of cookies just gone because you keep giving them away. How do you fill it back up? You need to learn how to take care of yourself first, because it's important to wash your hands of all the dust and grime of the day. You are not in charge of anyone else. You don't have the control to bring people happiness or sorrow or comfort. You don't have that power. Smiling for someone may make someone's day, because now they're like, oh, I've got this. I can do this, right? Maybe giving a pat on the back. But in the end, you got to take care of yourself first, because you have to stay in love with you in order to love others, in order to have others love you back. Okay. So it may not make sense, and I'm sorry for that, but eventually it will. I promise you. Okay. So, again, it's important that you know when to say no. Learn your body language, learn your emotions, learn to trust your gut. Okay. So, with that being said, though, there might be times, when you have to actually stretch yourself emotionally, especially when you feel like you're isolating yourself. You need to step out. That's called depression, right? So you want to step out of that comfort zone and be around other people. It's great to be around other people, because you need to find your love language. And if you've ever read that book, oh my stars, go get it, The Five Languages of Love. I've read it and I need to read it again. I love it. Okay, so You need to engage with other people because we as human beings are not meant to be alone. We are meant to be around other people. We're meant to talk to people. We are meant to socialize. It's important to do that. That's where you can gather some more of those cookies that you can just give away, because now you're loving yourself enough to let others in to love you as well, right? Now, you don't have to talk about any of your personal business. You do not have to talk about any of that. You can talk about the weather. You can talk, oh, look at that baby, about a baby that someone had, or a wedding someone had, or a funeral they had to go to, whatever the case is. You don't have to talk about your abuse. You can, and eventually it will help you in the end. But for right now, you don't need to. Make sure you pay attention to how you feel. Again, journaling is like one of the best things that I can tell you to do. Journal your feelings. Um, Jot down how any conflict made you feel, or how maybe you felt ignored by your friends, or um, maybe how you've been shut off from your friends for so long because the partner you were with wanted you all themselves and they shut you off from your family and friends, and now you're trying to reacquaint yourself with your family and friends again. What did you do? How did it make you feel? Write all this down. Listen, really truly listen to your body. It is important that you feel your emotion and physical body, right? Because once you spend time validating your emotions and allowing them to come out, you will notice a difference. Write it down. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to feel stress. It's okay to feel that you want to knock someone's head off the block, right? Don't do it. Just saying it's okay to feel it. Just don't do it. We need to also teach our children it's okay to have feelings. There's a child that said they hated their life. Just in the one digit numbers, not even the two digits, not 10 yet, not in the two digits yet, just, a young child, because they didn't want to do their homework. They felt their life was not, was horrible. They hated their life. And they even used a cuss word. But talking to that child, I found out that not only they didn't want to do their homework, but they were upset because they really didn't have a lot of friends. And the friends they did have didn't want to be around them. They were family friends, I'm like cousins type deal. Um, and it hurt. It hurts this child that they don't have friends that they can just, go up to. And I said, well, you do have friends. You have so and so and so and so, and you've got me. And so I gave them a notebook. And this is something like a journal. You need to do this. Write your feelings down. Even if they're bad words, write your feelings down. No one else has to see it. No one else has to read it. And if you're scared that someone is going to find it, do one online. Lock it up. There's ways that you can put passwords on stuff. Put it in your phone. There's those little note things in your phones. Whatever you do what's best for you. Journaling will help you with your emotions. And we need to teach our children it's okay to have these emotions. It's okay. But we have to learn how to deal with them in a healthy way without hurting others, without hurting ourselves. It's important that we do this. So just make sure you listen to your feelings and your emotions. And above all, make sure you practice the self-love. It's very, very important to love yourself. Okay, now I'm going to touch again on the ants, the automatic negative thought syndromes, those self-talks that always say that we're done, you're not good enough, whatever. You need to say it's time for you guys to leave. There's a door, close it on the, don't let it hit you on the way out, right? The best way that I have found, and it may not work for you, the best way that I have found is to get a piece of paper and in the middle, draw a line. On this side, write what the answer is saying. On this side, write the truth. So for instance, I'm here doing this. I don't have anyone in here with me. And the little answer in my head going, no one cares what you say. Why are you doing this? Who cares what they say? Or no one cares what you say. I have to cross that out. Once I write that down, right, on my ants, on the other side, I put the truth. I care. Just because no one's in my lives right now doesn't mean it doesn't get looked at. Doesn't mean that people don't find it. Doesn't mean that people don't find it helpful for them. You know, you and you alone have to fight the ants. I can't tell you how to do it. I could only advise you on what has worked for me. Now, you also have to make sure that you, and I do affirmations. I literally put them on sticky notes, little sticky notes, right? And I put them on my computer. That was not going to stick anymore. And I say things, you've got this. Don't quit. Don't stop. One step at a time. Tiny steps to success. My book, right? Something that's going to resonate with you. For me, I need to say things like, you're smart enough. You are enough. You are loved. You are not alone. Because I feel so alone at times. And I have to remember that I'm not. And then when I let those ants in that say that I'm alone, that's when my depression starts kicking in. And I've got to fight it. And it is so hard to fight it. I know. But make sure you talk about yourself like you would a friend. You wouldn't let your friend talk bad about themselves, would you? And you wouldn't talk bad about your friends. So don't talk bad about yourself. Treat yourself as a friend. I'm going to use my name as an example because there's no one here to use, right? Llewellyn, oh, look, you're up out of bed. You're doing great today. You took a shower. I can see how nice and shiny your hair is. Look at you go, girl. You've got today, right? Talk to yourself like you would a friend because you are important. And you make your friends feel important. You need to make yourself feel important because you need to love yourself first so that your friends and anyone else want to love you. They know how to do it, right? So once you start talking positive to yourself, sometimes the negative ants, I'll call them ants, sometimes the ants go hide because they don't like the goodness. They don't like that light of love that you're shining through. They don't like that. And it helps calm your innerness, right? Your inner feelings. Maybe you have anxiety. You're just calm. You're restoring yourself. You are loving yourself. And that is what you need to do, right? All right. I know I've talked a lot about that, so I apologize. So don't forget to do affirmations out loud. And maybe it's not Llewellyn is loved, Llewellyn is kind, Llewellyn is good. Maybe you need to say, I know it's okay to feel this way, but I'm going to feel this way. I know my feelings are valid. Llewellyn, you're absolutely right. You can feel that. But how about if we try this instead? Whatever you need to do, make sure the affirmations are positive based on whatever it is that you need to hear. Make sure you forgive yourself. I had to forgive the child in me for being abused. I didn't do anything wrong, but I was made to feel I did something wrong. Don't be angry with yourself forever. I was for so long, and all it does is it hurts me and my kids around me, my now good husband, right? Um, Emotional abuse is very confusing. It's not because you're poor or you're rich or you're thin or you're fat. It's because we're vulnerable. We want to be loved, right? All right. So make sure you forgive yourself. Um, Learn to prioritize your life, things that make you feel good. Maybe go out and get yourself a gift if you can afford it. Maybe draw. Do you like to draw? Maybe draw. Do you crochet? I crochet. I love to crochet. When I crochet something for someone, I love how their face lights up and it makes me feel good that they've enjoyed the gift. That is my gift to myself as I crochet stuff. Another thing I do is I read stories online under Mammy's Corner because my grandkids moved out of state, right? Well, some of them did. And I don't want them to forget me because they're little. They were 2 and 4 when they left. I don't want them to forget me. So that makes me feel good that I've got a lot more subscribers than I thought I would on Mammy's Corner because all I do is read books. I say hi, I make them, I have them do affirmations, and then I read a book and they don't see my face, they see the book. And it makes me feel good knowing that I got views on these books that people see, not just my grandkids, right? So do something for yourself. It doesn't have to cost money. Maybe go for a walk. Journal, read a good book, watch some movies, needlepoint, whatever it is that you like to do, whatever, find a hobby that you truly enjoy, right? Whether it's painting or writing or hiking and swimming and surfing and biking, just to name a few. Maybe it's starting a book club to be around other people, go to church, whatever you do, right? But whatever you do, you want to wash off the dust of the abuse. And you're bringing in the good, healthy environment that you need to be around. You want to love yourself, right? Um, I don't know if I mentioned this in my previous ones, but it's also very important that you find an accountability partner, someone that you can trust that will help you stay on the straight and narrow path that you need to stay on to love yourself, to take care of yourself. Okay. Again, I can't stress enough, please make sure you do your own research, because all I'm doing is researching and giving you what I find. Also, offering some of the advice that I have done that has helped me. Journaling is like the biggest one for me. Um, Another thing you can do, number 3, right? I'm only on step number 3, so I apologize for that. I do get long-winded at times. So number 3 is like find a safe support community. It's important to find people that have empathy and compassion for you and can give and know when to give you space and time so you can process your story and heal properly. And it's okay not to share it immediately. I suggest writing it down. That's what my very first counselor had for me do, was to write it down, because she wanted to know what the heck was in my head. And once I started, I just couldn't stop. And I'm glad I did. Now I can tell my story. I don't cry. I get upset when it comes to my kids, though. But it's hard to find the right people that you can trust. Some violate that trust and they tell other people. Some hurt you, judge you. It just depends on how they're going to respond to your story. And you're like, if I say this, will so and so like it or not like it? So make sure you find some accountable person that you can trust. And you might have to go through a few frogs before you find the right one. Learn to set boundaries, not just for friends, but family too. Again, it goes back to that self-love. It goes back to that. Make sure that you set those boundaries, because you need to love yourself first. Set those boundaries. Do not let them cross it. Do not let them call you names. You need to recognize let me rephrase that. Sometimes they won't understand. Sometimes they don't want to know. And there's nothing you can do about it. And it's okay. They don't have to. If they want to learn, it's not your job to educate them. It's your job to say, go look it up, right? You have to protect yourself by setting your boundaries to protect your emotions from anyone to hurt you again. Trust your gut. Goes back to that. Trust your gut. Love yourself. So on here it says that there's many victims. They find healthy support communities when they join an abuse support group or a group therapy. I know for me, it was very empowering to find people that went through similar situations that I went through, that I could share my story with, because they shared their stories. And we kept that in that group, right? I have hosted groups like that where we've kept it in our groups. It's like 6 weeks at a time. If you want to know more about that, just message me later. But I am an abuse survivor. And as an abuse survivor, you can build your confidence. I can tell you that right now. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight, but you can build it. You can learn how to recognize how your body is feeling. And it's going to go right here into step number 4 of what they've told me, that I've done the research on. And It's okay to seek professional help, whether it's a counselor, a therapist, a pastor, or whatever higher up you believe in, a life coach like myself, or whatever it is. I have a counselor, and I'm telling you, there are things that she is teaching me that I automatically have done. But now she gave me a name for what it is. And it's totally amazing. Just totally amazing. It's like, oh, I already do that. You do? Like, yeah, I researched it, so I did that. Um, so you want to make sure that you love yourself. You want to make sure that you give yourself all the healing tools that you can get. And I I'm fine with counselors and therapists if that's what you need. People are like, oh, I can't trust them. Ask your questions. Again, ask those questions. What's your success rate? How long you been doing this? Do you have just book learning, or do you have life experience on it? What have you done? Me, I've got life experience on it. I also have book learning on it. And I've got success stories out there. Maybe not a million like some of these others, but I've got some. Okay, so then once you're in therapy or with a counselor or a therapist or life coach or whatever it is, pastor, whatever, um, you want to make sure that the person is trained in whatever you may need, whether it's um, narcissist abuse, their recovery, trauma, domestic violence trauma, stuff like that. Just make sure that you find one that works for you. And if they don't work out, find someone else. It's okay to say, hey, you're not what I need. It's okay to say that. And the last one I want to talk about is practicing a healthy lifestyle. This is the information I found online. This right here talks about how, excuse me, how to be patient with yourself, right? How to recognize that many victims respond to abuse by controlling their eating or not eating, exercising too much or too little, or not at all. Not at all. But just whatever it is, whatever your healthy lifestyle is, take it at your own pace. Start small. Those tiny steps to success will eventually become a success. And maybe find a professional or support group that can help you adopt new coping strategies along your journey that you're doing for healing. Um, but whatever you do, make sure you do what's right for you. You and only you can do that. I can't help you with that. I can only offer you, like I said, I can only offer you some of the steps that I've taken. But again, do your own research, because you are important. You are valuable enough that you need to do your own research. I can tell you where I find things. I can tell you where my books are. They're on Amazon. But in the end, any self-help that you do has got to start with you doing your own research. How important are you? Are you $1 worth? Are you $5 worth? Are you $10 worth? Honey, you are so worthy that there's no amount of money that can pay your worth. Value yourself, please. Love yourself unconditionally to give you the value of yourself that you deserve, which no monetary value is going to be enough, because your life is worth a heck of a lot more than even that. So that's what I have for tonight. Again, I'm not a professional, not a counselor, I'm not a therapist at all, and I'm not a doctor. So I cannot diagnose anyone. I cannot prescribe medication. I'm not perfect, but I do the best that I can so I can help people like myself who had nowhere to go, who couldn't afford counseling. And this is what I do. I bring it to you. So I hope this has helped. If it has, would you please be kind to give me a like on this? Give me a thumbs up. Maybe subscribe. Maybe share it with others. Know that you're not alone. I want you to know that God loves you, and so do I. And I hope to see you when I'm live. All right. Thanks for watching. Take care and have a great, wonderful time, whatever you're doing in life. Remember, self love, journal, much importance. Till next